Yo, what's up? My name is Patrouski. I play way too much PokeMMO, and recently, because I play way too much PokeMMO, I was actually introduced for an interview by Mr. Granola, a PokeMMO staff member. Now, he did reach out just as a player, as a casual player. This was not part of his staff roles, and I'm really glad he did. He's a really nice guy. He's actually one of the only staff members that when he became staff for PokeMMO, he sent me a message in game, a mail in game, just to introduce himself, which is, this is the kind of guy you want, you know, on the community management, on the staff, on the moderator roles of PokeMMO. It's a really cool thing to see. But he also just runs a vanity magazine over on the forums as a casual thing, as a player, and it's just a great way to contribute to the community. He likes to show off, you know, people showing off cool fashion within PokeMMO and talking about the cosmetics and the market to some extent and kind of commenting on that. Now, he did not just interview me, he also interviewed best friends, aka Roy Rogers News, which the link to his YouTube channel will be below. If you do not know him, what are you doing? He's a legend within the PokeMMO community. He has been around since 2014. I actually knew him way back in the day before I ever started, like 10 years before I started making PokeMMO content. So shout out to him. He's been around forever. And then also, I'm not as familiar with, but they reached out to Messina. So much love to them. It's really cool to read through their interview questions. All of this will be linked down in below, as well as Erica Hanabi. I'm so sorry. I need to read through more. This is what I'm learning. But this will all be linked in the description if you are interested to see the interviews for yourself. But Mr. Granola asked me some really good questions, and I wanted to just kind of go through the questions and give you guys my full detailed answers, because I think it's kind of interesting and it touches on more than just fashion, just vanities within PokeMMO. This is a perfect kind of video to put on your second monitor. It will be a great audio background, you know, piece of content while you grind. Good luck on your shinies while you watch this video. Good luck on XP training, EV training, whatever it may be, your randoms PvP games. Good luck, and let's jump into some of these questions. All right, question number one that Mr. Granola asked was one of the heaviest hitters. Patrouski, are you aware of the influence that you have over fashion and cosmetics and the market within the game, considering that a recommendation from you can affect trends and even prices? How do you manage that responsibility towards your audience? And this was my answer to show you how passionate I am about this topic and hopefully how serious I take it. I'm just going to read my answer verbatim, since I think I'm a better writer when I have time to really think about things versus just speaking on the fly. Number one, this is a topic that I could talk about for hours, as you can tell by all the text here. Yes, of course, I'm aware of my influence over the PokeMMO economy as a whole, and I do take that very seriously. It's why in most of my content, I try to only report on vanities when there are news about it, or something to glean from an educational or history sense, rather than just talking about it to hype it up. So for example, in my recent market checks in my stream recaps, I will go through something like the XP Candy Extra Small item and point out when people started using it to shiny hunt Shedinja and how that started to affect the price. This teaches two things to players if they didn't already know them. Number one, Shedinjas are a large reason why XP candies are in high demand. This is crucial for understanding every item within the economy, understanding why would someone want to buy this. Number two, it teaches them the method themselves if they wanted to shiny hunt Shedinja. So I try to really make a point these days to have a reason to talk about an item in general. Another example is recently someone bought out the Xmas presents of 2025. So I drew attention to it in a stream recap to make it like a PSA. Hey guys, maybe avoid buying this item right now since they are obviously spiked by plus 300% in one day. Buy a big buyout. Or if you want to, you can buy them because maybe they'll go higher. In almost every item that I mention, I try to say both sides. It's possible that this happens, or it's possible that that happens, and you can decide which is more likely for yourself. Here's the historical trends, and here's the information. Now you go make your own decisions. But I don't think I'm always efficient at doing this, in my opinion. I'm a bit of a yapper, as many of you know. So sometimes I will stick around for, some people will stick around for the first part and hear that, but not make it to the second part. And that's a good example of something that I would like to improve on. Brevity when discussing serious topics, especially in a live stream environment, which is much harder to do versus in a scripted video, is just something I really want to work on. One last example I do want to mention is one of the major mistakes that I made in the early days of my PokeMMO YouTube journey, which I made plenty of mistakes in my journey, and I hope to just always learn from them. One that people don't really mention or remember very much, but I'm going to bring it up and kind of out myself, was the big Koban debacle. At least in my opinion, this is one of the worst situations that I handled looking back. The great Koban hold was back in 2021. I believe it was during my first event season back into PokeMMO, and I probably only had like 5 to 10,000 or less subscribers at that point. And I talked about how much I loved the Koban vanity and how I was buying it up as a meme because it was super cheap, about 20,000 Pokeyen a piece. Well, I talked about that on my stream, and then a lot of other people started buying it up, and the vanity actually went from 20,000 Pokeyen a piece up to 100,000 Pokeyen per vanity. And I had like 70 to 80 Kobans that I could have unloaded right then and there and made out like a bandit. But the whole thing felt so artificial that I made it a point to hold on to my Kobans, and at the end of every stream for a few months, I would show my bag full of Kobans at the end of every stream to verify that I didn't sell any. Because to me, it didn't feel right to make money off of that, because inevitably others would be left holding the bag. Kobans are usually worth around 20 to 40k these days, which shows that I think that was the right choice. I do take my impact on the economy very seriously and do most things within my power to keep it controlled and healthy. But I must say that I do think sometimes people overplay my impact. Yes, I am the largest English-speaking PokeMMO content creator, which is an insane thing to type and something I still don't truly believe, and I probably won't process until I retire. But I do have to remind people sometimes that so much of the game doesn't speak English or watch my content. I would guess that the English-speaking player base is probably the third largest player base behind both Mandarin and Spanish-speaking players. So yes, I do have an impact on the game, but I don't think it's always as big as some people like to think it is, and it does get a little exhausting getting blamed for every financial move within PokeMMO, like recently when RP went up 5% after dropping 100% over the past 2 to 3 years or so. But maybe that's just something that comes with the territory, and I've got to get better at getting used to it. My TLDR is that markets are smart, and people are smart, and outside influences can only do so much. A good example for this is the Magus staff, a vanity every content creator talked about back in 2021 or 2022 when it released. Everybody was hyping it up as a no-brainer investment. It was such a cool backslot vanity when there were not many of them back then. And then it went from an 8 mil vanity down to 1 mil by the end of the event, and it never recovered. There was just too much supply and too little demand. Whew, that was a lot, but I think it covered most things that I wanted to talk about when it comes to this. But I do get comments about this a lot, and sometimes it's people not with my best interest, and sometimes it's just people trying to attack me. And, you know, that's the internet. It is what it is. But I hope for anybody in the middle or anybody truly wondering and looking for a correct answer, I hope these arguments hold true and make sense. Speaking of fashion, shout out to Jailhead for popping up in this video and hanging out, dude. Oh, even the smooch, goodness gracious. All right, but after getting all flustered and getting the heavy hitters out of the way, let's get into the fun questions, like question number 2, which is, since you started playing PokeMMO, which was back in 2013, and up until today, how have you seen fashion evolve, and what changes do you consider to be the most significant? And my answer was, first things first, great question, and it's just night and day. I feel like back in 2013, everyone just rocked the black and red hoods with the Team Rocket outfit, and it just kind of looked edgy, and in my opinion, not in a very cool way. But to be fair, there also just wasn't many options in the game, and that's why it was a really big deal when Team Lyle got everyone to wear those motorcycle helmets to match. Not only were they the best PvP team at the time and set a lot of Pokemon metas, they also really impacted the fashion trends and were easily recognizable. The iconic helmet used by Team Lyle is actually still in the gift shop today. It is just called the motorcycle helmet and was often used in green, but you would always find them on the forums as well as in game. It was really easy to tell who was in Lyle or wanted to be in Lyle by who was wearing a motorcycle helmet usually. A lot of important players back then were very easily distinguishable by their outfits because there were so few ways to truly look unique. Nowadays, almost every player is in a unique fit, and I mean that in a beautiful way. Everyone is so different and distinguishable. The pixel artwork of today's vanities and sprites and cosmetics versus back in the day is just night and day insanity. The devs have gotten so much better at making vanities within PokeMMO. And also things like fashion contests and screenshot competitions held by both staff and players like You're Cute, I think also have really made players care a lot more about fashion and vanities over previous years. And I really like to encourage matching vanities that were never intended to go together. In my opinion, nothing is lamer to me in fashion than someone wearing a full set. Sorry to all the full set wearers. Now, off script a little bit, my favorite part about this question is that Best Friends actually gave kind of a similar answer. He said the 2014 to 2015 period saw a focus on visual fashion like wings, coats, and a lot of dark, rebellious, and romantic aesthetics. That is a much smarter way to say kind of edgy, like I did. But I thought this was like a really cool thing to read his interview and to see a very similar answer to mine. There's nothing more validating than seeing someone who like truly knows about something and very, entrenched in a space coming to the same realization that you did or the same opinion, but on your own time and on your own entities. Really cool to see that. Next up is question number 3. Many players approach cosmetics not for aesthetic reasons, but as a form of investment. Do you think this has transformed the culture of fashion within PokeMMO? And is style still the main focus, or is economic value becoming increasingly more important? And I had a pretty offbeat answer for this in my opinion. I actually think that people are starting to care less and less about vanities as investments just over the past 1 to 2 years. So it's a pretty recent development in my opinion, but I think that events like Shiny Wars are pushing players towards things like Mysterious Balls, Shiny Charms, and Donor status as more important investments over vanities. I think players view them as more tangible and pragmatically useful. Even though both vanities and shinies are purely visual, shinies just feel more impactful, I think, right now in the current PokeMMO zeitgeist and kind of social atmosphere. But I could also be dead wrong on all of this. This is just my perception and from what I feel like I'm witnessing anecdotally over the past few years. Once again, very recent developments in my opinion, so it's very kind of new age. I think you can see some of this in live time with old vanities dropping in price alongside sealed products like Lucky Reds not performing as well or even dropping comparatively to shiny related sealed products like all of the Mysterious Balls. Next up, we get a pretty reflective question with question number 4. Many players, including us, consider you an important figure within PokeMMO's culture. How do you perceive your own role within the community and what influence do you think you have on player trends and behaviors? I'm fortunate enough to be here in this moment, but I personally do believe that I am just another stepping stone, the same way that I am on the shoulder of giants like Best Friends, Roided Ewok, Node, Park, Alkways, Flare Blitz, Orange Maniac, King Bowser, Frags, and if I could add in one more name in post, definitely Ackshit, and so many other names that carried PokeMMO for years before I ever touched this soil. One day, I will be surpassed and I will move on. But I don't think that day will come for quite a while still, hopefully. I still have a lot of grind left in me. But I'm lucky that the rough circumstances of my life have made it so that my work ethic is what it is, and I didn't really do anything special for that or earn that, to be honest with you. It's just the way that things played out. And I hope that the main influence that I have on PokeMMO is just teaching good thought process, whether it's about how to make Pokeyen, shiny hunting philosophy, or how to discuss game changes with each other, something that I haven't totally succeeded on in my opinion, and also how to empathize with the devs while still remaining productively critical. I hope I leave a positive impact in these ways, but to be honest with you, it's something that I worry about every single day and I reflect on every single day, and I'm trying to figure out how to be better and better. Next up is question number 5, and speaking of brevity, I think this is the shortest answer on this whole list. Question number 5 is, do you believe that there is an economic barrier to fully participating within fashion? Many of the cosmetics considered stylish or prestigious are also the most expensive and elusive. Do you think that economic value influences our perception of what makes a good outfit? My answer is, honestly, in my opinion, maybe like a 10% barrier at most. There are so many more budget vanities than there ever has been within PokeMMO. One gym rerun could buy you at least one copy of 90% of the vanities within the game. If you have 10 million Pokeyen, you can buy like 99% of the vanities within the game. There are only a handful of vanities that are truly outrageously priced, and thankfully, they don't even really go with that many outfits, except for maybe like the Electric Storm, so sorry to all the DBZ fans who will never be able to roleplay Goku and get that one. Next up, the final question, question number 6. For you personally, what does fashion in PokeMMO truly mean? Looking at the current community, who do you consider to be the most influential individuals or groups when it comes to shaping trends? And one more note, what do you hope for with the future of PokeMMO fashion? How do you want it to be? And as an answer of the name of the post, say, what is the direction of fashion? My answer was PokeMMO fashion to me is often collaborating with your shiny follower sprite in a cool way that showcases different vanities from across all sets and all years, but making it look seamless between not only the vanities, but the Pokemon follower sprite as well. To me, this is when peak PokeMMO fashion is achieved. Now, in my opinion, one of the coolest teams right now impacting PokeMMO fashion is actually a team called Ugly, or something of that variation. I forget the exact name, but I fucking love them. They just try to make the most hideous outfits in PokeMMO, and they do a great job, and that's a whole art to itself, in my opinion. But I think players are getting really good at color matching or even spacing. I don't really know enough about fashion to really have the perfect vocabulary for this, but a good example of what I'm trying to say would be something like having a shiny lantern follower sprite and then having purple eyes on your character to match with its purple eyes, and then also having like candy corn shoes attached like on your little feet to have to match the yellowish shoe to match that yellow fin on the backside of the shiny lantern follower sprite. Once again, I think everything in tandem like that is when you reach peak PokeMMO fashion. And that was the final question and the end of the interview. I can't thank Mr. Granola enough once again for coming to me and asking me these great questions. I feel like it really made me think, and I feel like I'm pretty happy with the detailed answers that I gave, and those answers were only possible because of the good, once again, detailed questions. So much love to Mr. Granola, best friends, and anybody else who was featured in this interview, and also shout out to anybody who's in the background. I love background, content and little extra stimulations and people hanging out just playing PokeMMO. If you were featured in this video, thank you so much. Like this, PokeMMO is all about living in a space and playing a game where you can just casually see people all living their own dream, living their own life, living their own beautiful journey. That's the beauty of PokeMMO, is living your own unique existence and then seeing everyone else do the same alongside you. You don't even have to interact with other people if you don't want to, but if you choose to, it really does amp things up, in my opinion. PokeMMO and MMOs in general are always all about the socialization, the friends you make along the way. And I think fashion is a huge part of that. It helps us introduce each other and get to know each other and recognize people based on their vanities. A lot of personality shines through, and sometimes it's just goofiness. Like, I like to make my character look as silly as possible. I've never really liked taking fashion in a serious direction in MMOs because I think it just doesn't really work a whole lot, in my opinion. Or maybe I'm just not good enough at it to make it work. But however you like to do your PokeMMO fashion, however you like to play PokeMMO, I hope this video was good background entertainment while you grinded. Like it physically if you enjoyed. It's a great way to freely support the channel. Always physically click that like button. It helps a ton, guys. Subscribing for daily PokeMMO videos. I do upload every single day. I also stream usually Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET on both YouTube and Twitch. My Discord is linked down below if you are interested in that. If you want to go above and beyond and support my content, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, which is free with Amazon Prime, Twitch subs, gifted subs, PayPal, and Venmo donations all allow this channel to function. I could not be here without all of your guys' fan funding and support. So thank you. I hope to earn it from you. But for now, I will see you guys later. Peace, Reno. Yo, what's up? Outro Patrouski here, and I wanted to say thank you so much to everybody's name who is on this list. You really allow me to make the content that I do every single day, and I hope I can make it worth your guys' while and add to your PokeMMO journey. Thanks again so much for watching the entire video, and have a great day.